Arachnophobia is weird. Then again, so are all phobias. Phobias are not just fears. They are like a mental disorder version of fears. They're extreme. They're often completely irrational. And very misunderstood. I am one of the people who have misunderstood phobias in the past with my fake commercial about linonophobia, and I do apologize for that. Because phobias aren't something to be messed with. Now, arachnophobia is strange. Just like all fears, phobias, mental disorders, it's not black and white. It's not, I'm afraid of spiders. Because I've learned in the past that there are spiders that I can handle. Usually small spiders, about the size of, well, smaller than this pill. I can handle those spiders, they're fine. Especially if their legs are short in comparison to their body. The longer the legs, the scarier they are to me. And then the bigger they are, the scarier they are. The thicker they are, the scarier they are. So, tarantulas are a no-go, even though I have heard many things about tarantulas, pet tarantulas anyway, being very sweet and docile, and I know that spiders are more afraid of you than you are of them, which is the case for a lot of animals. When I was about 3 years old, Erin took me to visit her friend who had a tarantula. The tarantula had just molted. And as I got in the back seat of the car, she came up to me with her hands cupped around each other and says, this was obviously long before I changed my name. She said, "Carol, look what blah 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 gave me." And she tosses this perfect molt of a tarantula. It wasn't in pieces. It was perfect. So it was just this big spider, and I screamed bloody murder, and I cried, and I guarantee that is what gave me arachnophobia. However, I still love animals. Now, if there's a spider in the house, honestly, depending on what kind it is, I will either kill it or try to capture it and put it outside. When I say try to capture it, I mean try to capture it because it's hard for me to get near them. Usually I will use a cup. I usually kill the spiders if they are a threat to my animals, like if one of them ate them or if they got bit by it. While I was at the mental hospital, I met my first jumping spider. I'd been watching a lot of videos on jumping spiders because they're cute, and they didn't trigger my arachnophobia like videos of spiders usually do. Now, when I say it's bad, it's pretty bad. We can make a drinking game out of my likes and my ums. If you watch my playthrough of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I definitely have a bad reaction to them spiders. I even took a video of me reacting to catching a snow crab or a spider crab in Animal Crossing New Horizons, and that didn't go well. You should have seen me when I played Limbo. I think the worst part, though, of the spider chase in Limbo was trying to pull the dead spider and the leg coming off of the body. I don't know why that got me so much more than the spider itself. But if it looks a little less like a spider, it's not so bad. Like the spiders in Trolls. Or the spider-like Pokemon, like Spinnerack. That thing is huge. I don't think I'd be afraid of it. It's been a while since I've played Pokemon Scarlet because I had to give it back to the person who let me borrow it. But there's the spider that is basically a ball of yarn. It's a ball of its own silk. That thing is adorable. Even its evolved form doesn't scare me on the screen. I don't know how I would react in real life, but the fact that it moves so slow and so funny. I mean, I have videos of it coming up real slowly to watch me hatch eggs. Okay, let's get back to the jumping spider. So when I was at the mental hospital, we went into the day room, and a couple of the guys were like, hey, there's a spider. And I was like, oh no, spider. But then I heard jumping spider. And so I go up, and I see it, and it looks up at me, tilts its head. Their signature head tilt. They are known for it. They are very smart spiders. They have very good eyesight, and they meet you right in the freaking eye. And he looked up at me, and I was like, oh my God, it's a jumping spider! And while the others just went along their business, I took the time to scoop it up. And, I'll read the journal entries, and then I'll get to details that weren't in the journal. So, this is on June 11th, 2025. I'm in the mental hospital, and I just had a happy moment. I met my first jumping spider. He was crawling on a chair. They are just like in YouTube videos. He looked right at me, and I didn't feel any arachnophobia. He had the cutest little eyes and fangs. It took some effort to encourage him to get onto my hand, but I cupped him up and asked a staff member to let me take him outside, so I put him on a sunflower, and he looked back at me as if he knew I rescued him from potential squishing. I think he hitched a ride on someone and got stuck inside. Videos of them never scared me, but I always wondered if a real one would. Nope, looking at his little face made me so happy, I might have to get one. And then the next day, on June 12, 2025, you won't believe it, I found my spider. I went outside during smoke break, obviously I don't smoke, and I looked in the area I released him, and he was under a leaf. I thought, it can't be the same spider. But he was the same size, color, had the same markings, and I didn't see any other spiders. I offered him my hand, and he came right to me, looking up at me. This is hard to do with one hand. He crawled over my hands, sometimes doing a little hop. Then he'd stop to clean his little feet. I named him Scooter. Scooter the Spooder. I told him, you're lucky I like you because I am not enjoying the sun, and he stopped cleaning his foot to look straight at me. I said, don't give me that look. You cannot tell me you understood that. I know spiders don't hear like we do. They feel vibrations, but the timing was cosmic. I couldn't stand the heat anymore, so I had to say goodbye. He didn't want to get off my hand, but I eventually got him onto the leaf in a shady spot. I told him I'd look for him later. My hands are covered in webs. I wish I could draw him. And then, doopy-doo, June 13th, 2025. Haven't been able to find Scooter again. I think he moseyed on. I hope something didn't kill him. But I guess that's nature. And then I'm not going to read the rest of that entry because it moves from Scooter to dreams and depression, and that's not what this video is about. So, they do water the garden and the sunflowers every morning. I really hope he didn't get washed away, and if he did get washed away, I hope he survived. I hope something didn't eat him. There was another spider behind the sunflowers on the wall, on the window pane, but he looked bigger, and I couldn't get a close enough look to see if he was a jumping spider, because every time I got close to him, he would just hide behind the window pane. And like I said, they're more scared of you than you are of them. They're like, hey, there's this huge thing coming toward me. I don't want to get eaten, preservation of self. So it looks like a bigger jumping spider. It really did, but I could not tell. But Spooder was really, 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 really cute. He was about the size of the pill I just showed you a moment ago. If you get a chance, look up videos of jumping spiders. Even if you have arachnophobia, just try. Just trust me. They're really compact. They're called web puppies for a reason, is because they look like little puppies. If rats are the dogs of the rodent world, jumping spiders are the dog of the spider world. They're really, really cute. They have relatively short, stubby legs for their body. If you've ever heard of Lucas the spider, Lucas is based off of a jumping spider, and that's why he is so damn cute. Oh, I remember the first time I saw Lucas the spider. I think it was the one where he calls the dog a polar bear. So cute. They have really big eyes, and like I said, they look right at you, and they tilt their little head, and they're just so curious about you. And the fact that the spider that I found on the second day came right to me makes me feel like it was the same spider, because they recognize people, just like squirrels recognize people. I see a lot of squirrels. I saw one today when I went out for my walk. He was sitting on the fence, and I was looking at the ground, because I look at the ground to make sure that I step on as little bugs as possible. It's impossible to not step up, to keep yourself from stepping on every single bug, but my glasses are really good, so I can, see the 5 feet and 4 inches down, to make sure I step on as little as possible. But I looked up for a moment, and he was sitting on the fence like this. He was like, and I was like, hi, and he was just like, scurry, 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 scurry. And then I saw him again on my way back, and I was like, I see you. He was cute. Staying on squirrels for a moment, and we'll go back to jumping spiders in a second. I think it was my last day at the mental hospital. There was a squirrel in the tree, and I saw him, and he was being lazy and trying to blend in with the branch at the same time. So he was just kind of sprawled out on it. And I go up to him, and I go, I see you. And he just looks at me, and he crawls up a little bit, and I'm like, hi. And he goes, I was like, yeah. And I kept talking to him. He kept talking back. I'm pretty sure he was saying some really nasty things to me, but it was very funny. I love animals. And I saw 2 humongous butterflies. They were both yellow monarchs. I also saw a big dragonfly, but it flew past. I didn't get to see it up close. I also saw some not so cute spiders. There was one spider that made its way into the day room that was not a jumping spider. And just thinking about it just makes me ugh. But I didn't want to kill it. It wasn't doing anything wrong. So another patient cupped it under a cup and put a piece of paper underneath. Had a staff member take them out, release it. And so, yep. I just, it wasn't doing anything. It didn't mean to get trapped inside. And there were, no pets or animals to worry about it biting or anything. But back to Spooder. I really want to adopt one. And I'd probably name it Spooder, too. I don't usually name 2 things the same thing, except for Kosho. Kosho, my hamster. I adopted a hamster that had a wet tail when I adopted him from Petco. Wet tail is a really deadly disease that mainly affects hamsters, but I believe other rodents can get it. And he ended up dying a day or 2 later. And it was before I really knew what wet tail was, so I wasn't sure why he was, messy and stuff, but I tried, to clean him up and stuff, but there's not much you can do. Well, probably there is now, but back then there wasn't very much you could do. So, when he passed, we took the body back to Petco and said, hey, you let me adopt a hamster that had wet tail. And they gave me a replacement. You can't really replace a living thing, but a replacement. And I named him Kosho Ni. Ni, it means two in Japanese. Kosho is pepper. He was a black bear hamster. He looked like a little peppercorn. So that was the one time where I named two animals the same thing. I was also like 13 or 14, so I think I was 14. But I would name, if I were to adopt a jumping spider, I'd name him Scooter, just because I didn't have a lot of time with Scooter at the mental hospital. I only, got to see him twice. And I, played with him, and he covered my hands in webs, which was an interesting feeling. I've never done that before. I've never played with a spider before. So, oh, he was the cutest thing. But the thing is they're like $20 if you adopt them online. You also have to be careful of, finding a good breeder. You can. They are native to my area during this time of year, so I kind of want to go find one myself. For one, it would give me something to do outside. And I touched grass while I was at the mental hospital. And you know how they joke, hey, go touch grass? No, it's not a joke. Go fucking touch grass. It felt surreal. It felt weird because of how much time I've spent inside. And then before, all of this shit happened, how much time I spent on the computer. I'm serious, go touch grass. I plan on doing some live streams for mental health. And one of them is I'm going to let you know when I'm going to stream. And we're going to go outside and we're going to touch grass. If you do not have grass available to you, or you cannot get outside for whatever reason, just vicariously touch the grass. But that's what we're going to do that. And whether you guys think it's a good idea or not is not really the point. But I did want to involve you in it to try and encourage a lot of you who are stuck inside maybe, or just addicted to social media, to even though we will still be on our phones, it'll encourage you to do something else. And I think that's really important right now, with just how bad the internet is getting. And my cat is meowing and saying stuff. Where are you? Hi. So, another reason why I want to find my own jumping spider is because, I don't want to, jerry-rig some bullshit enclosure. I want to, do it right. And I actually don't know how much that costs. The site that I went to adopt the spiders were like $20. And I know the benefit of adopting a spider is that you know how old they are. But at the same time, I don't really know. It's one of those things where, where sometimes people just pick up and go on vacation even though they don't have the money, because it's just like life sucks and life is really getting at you, and I'm just gonna fucking go to New York and just not even care, and whatever the consequences are later, the consequences are. I'm in between I want to be responsible with my money and I want a jumping spider, because meeting Scooter made me so freaking happy when I was in such a bad state, So obviously this video is going to be for members at first. I will release it publicly later. I found that when it's public, I can't have members only comment on it, so comments will be turned off. Let me know if you've ever had a jumping spider. Let me know if you've ever met a jumping spider. You know, share your story. What do you think about jumping spiders? And go watch videos of jumping spiders. They're so cute. They are so cute. Unless you have, like, because my arachnophobia is pretty extreme, but not extreme enough to be afraid of jumping spiders and small spiders. If your arachnophobia is that extreme, I would say still try to look at a video of a jumping spider. A pet jumping spider would be the best one, but proceed with caution. And if it triggers you, then don't worry about it. Turn it off. You don't have to look at it. It's fine. I understand. You know, I have freaking mild agoraphobia that used to be major agoraphobia. I understand having phobias that don't really make sense to other people, and it's okay. You shouldn't be ashamed of your phobia, even though I made a stupid commercial making it look like it's shameful to have lanonophobia, because at the time I was a stupid kid and I didn't realize just how phobias worked, I guess. And because of the fact that I don't want to hide my mistakes is the reason why the commercial is still up. But if somebody were to say, hey, this offends me, take it down, please, I would. I would hope they would say please. But otherwise, somebody did say something in a comment a couple of years ago that I responded to, explaining that I was wrong. I know that not a lot of people look into, you know, that kind of stuff. They just look at stuff at face value, and I'm hoping that, you know, me admitting that I was wrong is enough. But if it's not, then it'll come down at some point. You know, just, it really depends. Again, I just don't like erasing things to make it look like it never happened. Because I feel like I've been accused of so many things that if I erase it, then I'm going to be accused of trying to make it look like it never happened instead of trying to be sensitive. It's the same reason why I'm afraid of being wrong. Because if I'm wrong, then I'm lying, right? Like, I'm totally lying about the Candle Cove thing. Like, seriously, people thought that I was lying about remembering Candle Cove, and I mean, if I was lying, I wouldn't have tried so hard to find out why I thought I remembered it. Turned out I was wrong. There's a difference between being wrong and lying. Being wrong is an accident. Lying is on purpose and usually with malicious intent. And I promise, and I've always promised this, because I promised this 14 years ago, because of a few reasons, but the major reason being a friend that I had that was a compulsive liar. I took a vow of honesty. It took a while to stop lying to myself about certain things, and it also took a while for me to, like, if somebody would say, hey, how are you today? And it took a while for me to stop saying good, because I wasn't good. So, saying good was a lie. And, another thing that made me feel like I was lying to myself, or just lying in general, comes in. So, in that journal entry that I didn't finish, I was talking about a nightmare. And I said, I think my brain is just doing what it's best at. It wants me to think I've been forgotten in the hospital and everyone can live without me. My brain just said, but everyone can live without you. See? What do I do about thoughts like that? Maybe I wouldn't believe it if it didn't feel so true, what with people trying to kill me and all. I'm scared that if I think differently, I'll be lying. And that's the negative self-talk. That's pretty much why I created Anatier, is to give a character to that negative voice, to try and understand it a little more. And I kind of do. And I know I said this video wasn't about this stuff, but it got to talking about lying, and that's a problem that I need to work on. Is I need to teach myself not to believe the negative self-talk, and that believing, not believing the negative self-talk isn't lying to myself. But yeah, this was supposed to be about a spider. There's a lot of stuff that I need to talk about. I'm on Abilify. I think it's working. Either that, or I'm still riding the I just got back from the mental hospital high. And my insurance is processing a telehealth support group that I desperately need for trauma. I'm also going to go into, what is it called? EMDR therapy for trauma. It's supposed to be really helpful. It's supposed to be really hard, but really helpful. And we are still in the process of trying to change my therapist to somebody who's more aggressive in the trauma department, I guess. I use the word aggressive for lack of a better term that I can think of. Anyway, I haven't eaten breakfast yet, and I'm really hungry. There's my cat. There's my girl. So, yeah, Spooders. Just let me know for the next 2 weeks. The comments are on for members. Let me know what you think about Spooders. Let me know if you like spiders in general. Amy likes spiders. Alright, see you later.